everyone, Vanakkam, Namaste, and a very good day to everyone. I am Dilshad Machood from Sri Lanka. Today, I have the honor of serving as your host on behalf of the International Association for Quality Education and the Ministry of Education, Work Province, Sri Lanka. The International Professional Development Program for Educators is a joint educational endeavor by the International Association for Quality Education and the Ministry of Education, Work Province, Sri Lanka, the Department of Education, Work Province, Sri Lanka, in collaboration with universities, organizations, schools, and educational leaders from around the globe. First of all, I would like to welcome Dr. Rashmi Tyagi, the Sri Lankan Education Ambassador. Before we begin today's session, we want to honor her contribution to the success of this International Professional Development Program. It is a great pleasure to welcome our esteemed speaker for today's session, Dr. Anushi Diwan from India. She is an extended learning coordinator and IBDP biology teacher at DSP International School, Mumbai. Today, she will be discussing on the topic Introduction of Stream Based on Lesson Plan. Dr. Anushi ma'am, now I invite you to begin your session. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Janaka. Like I said, I'm extremely happy to be conducting these sessions again. I think it's so lovely to connect with all of you and learn and share teaching strategies. We, as Sri Lanka and India, we share a lot of things, and education is one of them. We are both countries that are aspiring to work a lot on this particular aspect of our country, and it's just good to connect. I am primarily a science teacher, so I work a lot with STEM and STEAM, and now it's STREAM. So I am quite happy to be sharing a few things about STREAM that I know or that I implement. Today I will be talking about STEAM primarily, but I later on realized it's now STREAM. So next session onwards, I will try and incorporate the R aspect also. But for today, it's just about STEAM and STEAM based learning. So, what I'm going to be trying and talking about is how important it is to incorporate certain skills in every lesson. Now, what happens is, right from primary till the higher grades, all our lessons are designed to cover a certain curriculum. And while that is okay, we no longer are focusing on the content. In today's generation, we have moved away from route learning and memory based learning and what we call in Hindi is ratta maroing, where you just mug up concepts. We have moved away from there, and we have actually working now on skill based development. And the 21st century skills or the soft skills that we are talking about is extremely important. So, what I will be teaching or rather talking about right now is how can you design any lesson as a STEAM based lesson. STEAM is, uh, Mr. Janaka, do you want to just like maybe go down to the second slide, please? Thank you so much. So, this is what I was just talking about, skills versus grades. We no longer are asking students to get an A star, to get the high grade, to get 100%, 90%. We do not focus on that anymore. As a country, when we develop, as the education system, when we are working on developing our systems, we need to focus more on the skills. Skills are more important than grades. What skills? Skills like critical thinking, problem solving, communication, they are important. And as teachers, it depends on us to pave the roadmap for our students' success. So, if you consider skills versus grades in the long term journey, like you see in the second picture, it's definitely skills. So, we need to focus on skills. Every lesson should be a skill building lesson. The skills can vary, but the motto should be the same, skill building, not grades as such. So, can you please go to the next slide? Right. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, math. And now they've even incorporated R, which says science, tech, research, or reading, and your engineering, arts, and math. Now, STEAM is not just a word, it's a teaching approach. As teachers, we often think that I am a science teacher, I have to deal with STEAM. I am a geography teacher, I don't do science. So, STEAM is not too much, doesn't apply to me. I am an English teacher, what have I to do with science and technology? It's absolutely wrong. STEAM is not just related to science. STEAM is not just technology and engineering. It is a concept. It is a teaching approach that can be used in any lesson. So, any lesson, what is a STEAM based lesson? Any lesson that integrates multiple subjects, cross disciplinary lessons, any lesson that uses real world situations. What is happening in the world right now? If you talk about that in your lesson, try and link your lesson to the outside application. That's a STEAM lesson. In any lesson, if children are learning how to solve problems and not necessarily math problems, it can be a simple, uh, a simple paper. Give them a paper. Like I remember doing this activity. Give them a paper. Ask them to fold it into a different shape or a different structure. Or you give them a problem, you simulate a problem, a global warming problem or anything, and you tell them research, find how will you solve this problem. If they're doing that, if they're able to overcome those problems, if they're learning those skills, that's a STEAM lesson. Okay. All our lessons should be mostly hands on, visual, and meaningful. See, what happens is, as a teacher, if I'm just standing in a lesson and talking non-stop, children will get bored. But if I involve them in the lesson, if I give them things to do, if I ask them to do some practicals, if I ask them to solve some problems, they are involved. They can they can relate to it, and the lesson becomes more meaningful. And if students are working in all classrooms, like I said, not only science, any lesson that incorporates these teaching approaches becomes a STEAM lesson. Okay. So may I have the next slide? So why is STEAM so important? Like I said, 21st century education, if you look at a lot of developed countries, they have already moved away from the traditional teaching methods where you are focusing on the content, you are asking students to mug up, you are not developing skills. A lot of developed countries have moved away from that. Research shows that skill based learning is the way to the future. Companies, jobs, recruitment agencies are now looking at students who have more skills than a better grade. So, why is STEAM so important? Why are we talking about this? Is in the next slide, sir. Perfect. STEAM matters because when I tell a child, it's so cold. Like if you look at Bombay, the temperatures have gone down to 19 degrees Celsius. It was never like that. So if say I have a very boring lesson on photosynthesis, but if I start my lesson first 5 minutes, just asking the students, when you all got up in the morning, when you all came to school, did you feel anything different? And then the students will be like, yes, miss, it was cold. I was feeling a little cold. It was I didn't put the AC on. So you are starting with a real life connection. And then you see, why is it getting so cold in Bombay? Because global warming, climate change, El Nino effect, you link it to something that they have experienced. So they will remember it, they will enjoy the lesson, and they are able to connect it to their daily life. And this will also help them go to the next point, which is help them understand why is it so important. Like, and the best way to do that is connect to what's happening locally. Like if there is a certain climate pattern that you've been observing in Sri Lanka, or if there is some incident that has happened in Sri Lanka, or anything whatsoever, you start with that and then you link that to your curriculum. It can be geography, it can be economics, it can be math. But if you start your lesson with one daily life example or situation, first 2 3 minutes, it's a starter. Students can link to it, and it encourages them to think more, communicate better. You can have active learning instead of me talking non-stop, and it supports students of all levels. For example, in a classroom, I will not have every student who is an excellent topper. So that child will not be able to communicate. But if I ask such questions to the children, every child will be able to talk. Every child will be able to contribute to the class discussions because it's happening with everybody. It's not limited to the 4 5 students who are extremely talented. So STEAM matters. So next slide, please. Okay. So like I said, STEAM is for all subjects and all grades. It is not just limited to science subjects. It's not limited to grade 11 or 12. Right from your nursery, preschool to high school, STEAM is important. Like I said, it's a teaching strategy. It's a way of learning. It is not science, tech, engineering. No, it's not like that. And some examples are if you're an English teacher, you can ask them to design a booklet, a storyboard, or a poster. That's it. Geography can be simply making maps, drawing maps, or color coding maps. That's it. Data charts, models, all that in geography. In history, designing timelines, making monuments, even visiting a monument for that matter. Sri Lanka has some amazing places to visit with a lot of historical relevance. So that would be an excellent thing. Or just even researching about them. That's a good thing. Math could be real life budgeting, measurements, patterns. Again, with economics, if you have a policy that's come up, if the government is sharing some financial policy or something, that can be discussed. Art, again, visual explanation of concepts. And primary grades, like I said, it could just be drawing, sorting, simple graphs, building. All these are STEAM. And STEAM, this is a very common misconception that STEAM will need money. If I don't have enough budget, I cannot do a STEAM activity. It's absolutely wrong. That is a myth. Even talking to a child is developing skills. So you don't need anything, just verbally communicating with the child, verbally sharing, putting them into groups, asking them to do some activity, some drama, some even these small things become STEAM. So we don't need a high budget for STEAM. We don't need a lot of fancy equipments for STEAM. Okay, so let me go to the next slide. Yes. So quickly before I show you a lesson plan, a very easy lesson plan I have made, what skills do STEAM lessons build? Thinking, social, academic. See, eventually, when the child is in primary, you have to develop their thinking skills. After they are a little old, you can start with the social skills. And then, of course, when they come to grade 11 and 12, it's the academic skills because we will eventually look at some grades. Parents will ask, what is my child's grade? How much is my child scoring? But you start with thinking. And if you're a preschool teacher, you have a gold mine with you. You can trigger their minds. You can make them do activities that'll make them think differently, approach a problem differently, make them more confident. And then when they grow up, divide them into groups, let them work in groups, develop their social skills. See, we all know that in today's world, if you are not social, if you can't communicate, you cannot get things done, be it a government, be it politics, be it army, be it teaching, be it any field, you need to work in a team. So these you can have 100 out of 100, but if you cannot work in a team, it's pointless. So as teachers, what we do, and this is what we're going wrong, we teach our children how to achieve an 100, but we don't teach them how to work in a team. Today we are a group of 90 people together, and we are working as a team. We are discussing ideas. We are all ready to learn from each other. That's teamwork. Today we will communicate at the end, discussing, sharing ideas, asking doubts, suggestions. That's again. So you need these skills to work at every level. And what I'm trying to suggest is no matter what lesson you're teaching, no matter what grade, try and incorporate these skills, creativity and problem solving, like I said. Okay. So I think these are the skills you should look at. Thinking, social, academic. Okay. So can we have the next slide, please? So this is a 8 step process. This is what I feel. How can you incorporate STEAM into any lesson plan? Any lesson plan. It can be whatsoever. You okay, and these are 8 steps. You can choose to do all 8, you can choose to do few, you don't necessarily have to stick, but this is the basic breakdown. Like say today I have an example, I am doing let me say a topic on, I don't know, I'm doing solid liquid gases, for example, if that's something I'm teaching them. Solid liquid gases, this is my topic, grade 6 grade 7 science. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example about geography afterwards, but say this is a topic. How can I make it skill based? It is so dry, solid, liquid, gas. It is so boring. How can I develop skills in such a lesson? It is not possible. I mean, I might think that I just have to finish it. No, I can do it. So, say the first step is choose the topic, solid, liquid, gases. That's the topic I'm teaching. Next is I'm gonna, like I said, always start with a real life connection. So maybe you say you ask all kids, okay, you know what, kids, real life, ask them to link it to it. We are all going to take, we're going to all start with a water break. All of you are going to take your water bottles and drink water from your water bottles, and they will all drink water bottle. And then you will tell them, okay, we've all drank, and now to regulate, we're going to take a deep breath inside and we're going to breathe outside. So drink a water, drink few sips of water and take deep breath in and out, and they will do it for 2 3 minutes, and then you start connecting it to it. Okay, you, on the third step, plan a small challenge or task. So now you say that we are going to be studying about solid liquid gases. You did this activity of drinking water and breathing in and out. Now you think, how can you link it to the solid liquid gases? I'm going to give all of you 2 3 minutes. You think, why was this active? So they all will start thinking, oh, I drank water, so that is probably a liquid. Oh, the bottle was solid. I took a deep breath in, that was probably air. So I give them some time to think. I can give them some instructions afterwards, but before that, I give them some, so they'll be able to connect. Oh, yes, this is what I'm supposed to do. Oh, this is what solid is, liquid is, gas is, this is. So they will all get interested. Then, in the fifth step, I teach them. I teach them what is the science behind liquid, solid, gas, and there is a very nice way to do it. What you do is you have a classroom of 50 students or 20 students. Okay, you ask 10 students to stick. I will tell all of them. Okay, now you know what, to understand the science. All of you get up, and I will divide you. And I ask 10 students to go together, and I tell them you stand very closely to each other, and they will all stand tightly closely to each other. They're moving around, they're enjoying the class, they're doing hands-on activity. And then I tell the next 5 students, you all be in a group, but you all stand a little far away from each other. And then the next 5, I tell them, you all be in a group, but you all stand even far away from each other. So I'll have 3 groups. One group, students are sticking to each other. That's basically solids, when molecules stick to each other closely. Then liquids, when molecules are a little far. And then gas, when the molecules are really spread apart. So I make them move like this, and then I teach them the concept of molecules sticking together, solids, there is no space for movement. Liquids, the molecules are a little far, so liquids can move because there is a little gap. In air is because the students were so far, there was so much place in between, therefore air can move freely. So I do that, and then I teach the science or the concepts behind it. So I've done 5. I can give them examples, of course. I give them clear instructions, I teach them. And after that, as an exit ticket or something, I can ask them to do something. I can ask them to draw. Okay, like, okay, now you all saw how it is. So now go back, I obviously teach them for like half an hour, 40 minutes, and then I tell them, okay, now go back and you draw. Open your books and you draw how molecules in solid look like, how liquids look like, how gases look like. And then they show you the work. And then of course I assess, I answer them, I give them like a list of keywords or something. So what have I done? A simple lesson, boring lesson, can just be made into skill based with no extra resources, no extra what do you say uh, fancy equipments, just communicating, just by drawing and connecting it to real life. So like that, you can use it for any lesson depending on how much time you have. You can take half an hour, you can do 5 minutes. But my whole point is, you can always incorporate one or two out of the 20 skills that we have. One or two also, if you touch, it's a good lesson. So these are basic 8 steps. Okay. So can we go to the next one, please? And then Yeah. So this is something, a doable STEAM lesson. It's an example, it's a geography example. Say if in grade 5 geography you are teaching them houses and different structures of houses, how houses are built, or what materials are used to make houses. So the best way to do that is you always uh, link it to Sri Lanka, for example. If you are in Sri Lanka, I'll tell you what we do in our schools. What we do is we take the students out for a trip in Bombay, and we show them different houses. Like there are some architectural buildings that are really different in construction, the material is different. We take them to CST, we take them on a half day trip. You don't have to do that all the time, you can show them pictures also. But we take them to your CST station, a whole heritage building, different structure. Then we show them a high rise building, how high it is. Then we take them to Juhu where they have bungalows and different. So what we do is we try and take them, and then we start the topic. If you can't take them on a field visit, you can show them images, or you can ask them, have you been in, like, when you roam around Sri Lanka, what are the different types of houses you see in Sri Lanka? And then they will say, miss, something like that, and then you link it. Is it like houses near the coast? Are they coastline? Are they in a different way? Houses in interior, do they look different? Why do they look different? Is it because of the weather? Is it So then you can start discussing something like this. You don't necessarily have to take the entire lesson, but just like I said, start with a real life connection and it'll help them understand it better. Um, so, can we have the next one, please? Yeah, I've already spoken about a science lesson, so I'm not going to probably go through it again. But a garden, like home garden or school garden, like if your school has a garden, if your school has a small place where some trees or crops are growing, you you can definitely take them down, okay, in your garden, or if there's a nearby garden. And the best way to teach about plants for younger kids is always to take them, to show them the plant, or even if you can get a plant in school, make them feel the leaf, ask them, see the color of it, how do you think the plant is growing, who is giving food to the plant, how do you think how do you think the plant is managing its water. Ask them these questions. When you go to a forest, these huge forests, nobody gives water every day. So where are the plants getting the water from? Then they will say plants make their own food. Why can't humans make? So just building curiosity. See, there's a very research has shown that the 70-30 method of teaching has proven to be the most effective. 70-30 means any lesson where 70% of the talking and discussion and thought sharing is happening from the student and only 30% is being given by the teacher. That is a good lesson. A lesson where 70% of the time a teacher is talking and only 30% of the times the child is involved, that's not a good lesson. So if I have a 60-minute lesson, 35 to 40 minutes, or maybe 35 minutes at least, is what the students should be sharing, talking, asking, discussing. And my input giving time should only be about 20 minutes. Otherwise, the students get bored. As a teacher, you may know the topic, you may have done it a million times, but for the child, it's the first time. So I don't want it to be just input heavy. The child will get bored. The child will not learn any skills. So always start a lesson building curiosity, asking questions. They might not answer it, which is fine. That's not even a goal. At least they're starting to think. So the 70-30 rule is a very good thing. 70% of a period should be the students talking, discussing, peer learning, self learning, and 30% is what the teacher should be talking. So can we have the next slide, please? Okay. Now I was reading this paper and I found some really good. I'll just take you to one or two thoughts on this. So there was this entire paper written, and according to Bukinski and her co-authors, they said that if you look at the next generation, the first paragraph, the next generation of scientists. So we are talking about extremely A graders, those 100% scientists According to her and the authors, even scientists, next generation scientists, will need to develop their communication skills through both traditional means of writing and speaking, as well as more artistic means, including illustrating, animating, videography, cartooning, and model building. So this paper clearly says that even scientists who have who have all the IQ will still need to develop communication skills, maybe even cartooning to that extent, to be able to talk about their work better or share their work better or explain their work better. So all I'm trying to say is that if we start these skills early on in every lesson, slowly, 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 cumulatively, by the time the child leaves school, they will have a lot of other skills. And even the next one's also like math. We always think math, how to make it more interesting. Math is so boring. Like if you read the second paragraph, it's the same paper it was written that in one real life example of STEAM in action, and Androver Mass High School drew the spotlight for its approach to teaching geometry through the lens of art. So this teacher connected geometry and art. So that's STEAM again. And what he did was, through a scavenger hunt at a local museum, math and art students come to understand scale in geometry is not the same as perspective in art. So, how you see geometry, how you use typically, it might not work when you look at art as a whole. So, perspectives are different, which like honestly what happens is when we tell students something, they fix it in their mind. They do not understand that perspectives can shift based on the context. What works in Sri Lanka might not work in India because the context is different. So they should have that openness, open mindedness to be okay with the change in the perspective. So that again is what this art teacher and the math teacher try to do. So that's again a skill, to be open mindedness. It's an IB skill. Yeah. Okay. So maybe I have the next one. Okay. So I think that was about it. And lastly, tips for teachers would be, for any lesson, it's possible. Like I said, you can follow the 8 step, easy. Real life application, some hands-on activity or talking, and an exit ticket. That's about it. Keep activities short and simple. You have to use readily available materials. Give examples that will help students structure their thoughts better. You can encourage pair because that helps in team building, that helps in sharing, communicating. You can encourage pair work, and of course, always display either through newsletter or school communicators. When you display, students get motivated. So if they've done some artwork, put it on the class wall, or if they have written some equations in some nice fancy way, put it on the classroom. If they've drawn some maps or something, you can put it on the classroom. So, and then you don't have to do it, like I said, make it very complicated. Simple activities, challenges per lesson. One small activity, one small challenge is enough. And sometimes that might not be possible. It's okay. Last 5 minutes, just talk. That's it. If you can't plan, you have a full day, so much to do. It's okay. Last 5 minutes, just talk. What did you do today? Share something that happened to you. Children can really connect. They really are interested in knowing what is happening in a teacher's life. They love knowing that. So share something that happened in your life or something. So that helps them like the topic and stay connected. And I think I have one last slide, sir. So STEAM is not about experiments or high-tech tools. It's simply about making it visual, either through the teacher expressing or through activities or maybe pictures or posters connecting to real life. It's about students learning to create and collaborate, and it's about every lesson being engaging and meaningful. When a child enters a class, a child should leave the class knowing there is something that I have learned. It can be a news or I have developed. It can be a new skill that I've developed, or I spoke in the class for the first time, or I did something and my teacher appreciated me, or it can be something like as easy as I learned a new word in bio. Some meaningful takeaway should be there. And with small steps, we can ensure that overall STEAM skills have been developed in a child. I think that's about it. I just have one question, sir. I think someone had put a question. How do you incorporate STEAM in teaching alphabet in any language? I'll tell you, I in fact recently attended a workshop 2 days back, and I didn't know this, but I got to know it 2 days back, and I can share it with you. They say music has been one of the most effective ways to teach a topic, and I didn't know that. But it is been proven that when students learn something using music, it helps them retain that information better, and it also helps them retain memory. So for alphabet specifically, if you can use music, songs, like I remember when I was small, A, B, C, D, E. So I was taught in music. I was taught it in a song. And now I can understand why. So for alphabets, I would say music, songs, poetries, that would be the best way to teach alphabet. That's again STEAM in the sense you're still using art. Music is a form of art, so it comes under science, engineering, art, math. So I would say music and making them sing or recite would be a good way. So thank you very much. I will share a lesson plan next time as to what a STEAM lesson can look like. But for now, I think uh, this is it. Thank you so much for listening. And if there are any questions, I mean, I can always answer them or something.
Fly so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.